Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's very early here in Spokane, Washington. That's why I might forget to do things like press the microphone button. Okay, good, Anthony. I'm glad. I'm glad you can hear me now. Yes, it's very early here. 7:30 a.m. in the morning. I was up late last night again. I was judging a comedy show, of all things. I judged a comedy show last night for the first time, and of course it was very funny because it was a comedy show. Okay, one thing I want to remind you before we get started with the lesson, we'll talk about future tenses. But before we get started with that, I want to remind you of the live classes. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the background here. I'm going to make myself small. So here I am, and I think Zach's going to share this link with you. These classes that we've been doing are going to go to a closed format. You will receive an invitation when a class begins. Of course, I will teach this week, today, this morning, and Wednesday. But after that, the class is going to go to invite only. So there's only a certain amount of spots. Think of it as a classroom where there is a number of desks, and once all of those desks are filled with students, the class is closed. No more people. No more students, I should say. Because students are different than people. They're better than people. Students are the best. So what is an invite-only class? It'll be 12 weeks long, 2 hours like we do normally, like we've been doing Monday and Wednesday. Or if you sign up for Nicole's class, it'll be Tuesday, Thursday. Or if you sign up for Josh or Sagan's class, it will be in the afternoon. My class, of course, is in the morning. So 2 one-hour sessions, and there'll be homework. There'll be homework. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for some of you. Of course it's a good thing. If you do homework and send it to me, which you will do, I'll mark it up. I'll look at your answers and correct it, whether it's right or wrong. Also quizzes, weekly quizzes, homework and quizzes. And I'll be the teacher for this class for 125, upper intermediate. And I will grade your assignments. I'll be able to comment and respond. We will be able to speak with each other, not just chat, but speak with each other. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun. And one thing I do like, because I am a teacher, one thing I enjoy is marking up papers, writing my comments on papers and assignments. I think that's fun. I know a lot of people wouldn't think that's fun, but I like it. And you'll be able to see my comments, and you can comment back, and we can discuss your homework. And maybe I'll get to see some longer form writing, not just sentences, not just short answer, but maybe paragraph length. And I'm looking forward to that. I love writing myself. I write every week. I write all the time. And I want to see your writing as well. That's one thing I really like. And there'll be a final exam. A final exam. And when you're done with the 12-week course, you will receive certification, an official Smrt English certification. So please, if you can, follow that link. Zach, share the link with you. Now, maybe I can put it in too. Let's see if I can put it in. And read all about it. And if it sounds like something that you're interested in, please sign up. There are a limited amount of spots. And this is the last week that it's going to be free for everybody. After that, it will be a closed class. Okay, let's get started. And you know, I'm always bad. I always digress. But there was a question last week. So before we get to future, I'm going to digress already. My first digression of the day. It's very early and I'm digressing. I'm digressing already. I'm talking about another subject. Before we do future, I'm talking about another subject. I want to talk about state and dynamic verbs because I believe it was Rosa last week. I think, Rosa, was this your question? Oh, by the way, I want to say hi to everybody. Sorry, pardon my manners. I forgot to say hi. Hi, everybody. Yeah, and I wrote the meaning of digressing there, Anthony. Hello, good morning. I see a lot of new names. I see some familiar names and I see some new names. So hello, Kivan. It's nice to see you here. Savannah or Savina. Again, if I mispronounce your name, please correct me. It's good to see you. Clara. Yeah, homework is a great thing, Clara. And hello, Anthony. So hello to all my old internet friends and some of my new ones here. It's good to see you. So I'm digressing already. Before we get to future, I want to talk about state and dynamic because last week, Rose, I believe, had the question and she heard it as static and progressive. Progressive means continuous, the same as continuous, but I think what she meant, Rosa, what I think you meant might be state and dynamic verbs. And it's not a 100% rule, but you can think of state verbs as verbs that happen in our mind that you cannot see, that have no physical action. So for example, a good example of a state verb is love. We feel it, but we can't really see it. And so maybe a good example of a dynamic verb is jump. Think of somebody jumping. You can see that. Sometimes you can even hear it. It's very, this was an Anurath question? Sorry, Rosa, it's an Anuruth's question, who's not here. Sorry, Aniruth, but I'm going to answer it anyway. State verbs and dynamic verbs. So, think of a very, very easy sentence here. I love it. We cannot make state verbs continuous. Maybe you've heard the McDonald's commercial, I'm loving it, but this is incorrect. It's incorrect to say, I'm loving it. We would not say that. That's bad grammar. McDonald's has bad grammar. We don't use state verbs in the continuous form, in the ing form. However, dynamic verbs, we can. Oh, let me get rid of my strike through for a second here. And this is a common exercise, jumping rope. If you have a jump rope, I am jumping rope. Or simply, let me make it as easy as possible, I am jumping. So with dynamic verbs, verbs we can see, verbs that have a physical action. But yes, Zach. Bad grammar, but good fries. McDonald's fries are really good. That's about the only thing I get at McDonald's. They're fantastic. I am jumping. We can use it in the continuous. We can use dynamic verbs in the continuous. State verbs, we usually do not use in the continuous. This would be considered informal English, very casual English. I have been loving the Smrt classes. Well, I'm glad you have been loving the Smrt classes, Donnie, but not good grammar. Simply, let me get rid of that strike through again. Simply, I love Smrt classes. No continuous. You can simply say, I love Smrt classes. Just use the present simple with these state verbs. Yes, that's Anwar, that's good. I am watching Smrt Live. Watching and watching. And that's kind of a weird one, isn't it? Watch, but if you look at another person and that other person is watching something like watching TV or watching a movie, you can kind of see that. You can see that's what they're doing. So it's okay to say, I am watching Smrt Live. Good, you guys are smart already. It must be afternoon where you're at, because it usually takes me a few hours of the morning before my brain is working. So I can tell your brain is working very well. Okay, let's talk about the future. The future, ooh, the mysterious future. And I think I mentioned this last time. I wanted to talk about predictions. Predictions are simply guesses about the future. Now, some guesses are, hi Hannah, some guesses are easy to make. And if you want to follow along, if you would like to follow along, can you use time duration in future continuous tense? Yes, you can. Wow, way ahead of me, but I always like to address your questions because they're awesome. They're awesome questions. So I will be studying, well, I already know English, so let me pick another language. I will be studying French, maybe in France. This is not true. I would love to go to France to study French. But this is not true. I will be studying French in France for the next 2 years. So if I know the duration, if I know time duration, I can say the duration. If I know how long in the future I will be doing something. That's a great question, Anthony. So hopefully that answers it. Oh, okay, here's another good question. This is from CF Teaching. Let me show this sentence that CF has put up. Let's see. And let me make this bigger as well so we can see it. Thanks for understanding my point of view. Although understand is a stative verb, because of the preposition of, and I think you mean for, we can use ing. Yeah, so we are making it if it comes after a preposition, after prepositions are nouns. So this would be more like a gerund noun. Thanks for understanding my point of view. So it's kind of a gerund in this case, using the ing, and this is, of course, perfectly good English. That's a good grammar. Thanks for understanding my point of view. After prepositions, we generally need nouns. Nouns follow prepositions to make a prepositional phrase. So in that case, yes, CF Teaching, the ing is okay. Does that make sense? Good. Okay, let me get to predictions. Predictions about the future. Future predictions. And I'm using Smrt. This is Smrt 125. If you have access to Smrt, you can follow along. This is Smrt 125 2-1. I'll go back and show you where it's at. Grammar 2-1 on Smrt 125 prediction, but I'll have it up in the background here, so you can just look at it in the background too. Okay, let's look. Will. Let's start with will. This modal will is so useful in talking about the future. This comes before so much of our future tenses. It's a very, very useful modal. Will. We need it. We need it for the future. So we can use it to talk about facts. So will, and now I have to change my color back. A nice deep black color. Will is for, think of will as for facts. So this is one thing will is useful for. If we know something as a fact, we can use will to talk about it. Let's look at a couple examples. I'll turn 33 next year. I'll turn 33 next year. And remember, I'm going to put this up here. And that looks a little small to me. I know you can probably see it pretty clear, but let me make it just a little bit bigger. Now remember this I'll, of course, as many of you know, is a contraction where you take two words and kind of smash them together and make a shorter word. It's a contraction. I'll write that word up there. I'll is a contraction, of course, for I will. So when we write and we speak the future tense, we can use I will. So I'll turn 33 next year. That's just a fact. So if we know it, and usually we know what age we will turn the next day, or not the next day, the next year, we can say I will. It's just a fact. You can't change aging. Look at this one. It will be cold in the winter. And this is very true for where I live here in Washington State. It's a northern state near Canada. So of course, for me, this is a fact. It will be cold in the winter. And notice for future tense, when I have that modal will, the nice thing about modals is you need an infinitive verb after a modal. Verb 1, unchanged. So not turns or turns, simply turn. And not am, is, are, simply be. It will be cold in the winter. It's a spring chicken. Actually, this 33, this is not true, Zach. This is just an example from Smrt that I'm reading out loud. I am just a tad bit older than this. So, I guess one thing I'll go back and say about contractions is you can write them and you can speak them. However, for very formal writing, for example, if you had to write a thesis paper for university, you would not use contractions. For extremely formal writing, do not use contractions. If you ever write a resume or a CV, a curriculum vitae to get a job, I would suggest not using contractions. For very, very formal writing, for very important writing, do not use contractions. Otherwise, it's fine to use contractions. Okay, let's go back to future. So, simply facts. Remember that. Will is good for facts. However, even though it's good for facts, we also use will for our opinion. And that's why we can use phrases like I think, I am sure, I believe. So not only for facts, but also for opinions. Will is useful for opinions. And you can use phrases such as I think, I'm sure, I believe to start your sentence before using will. Let's look at some examples. I don't think it will rain tomorrow. I don't think it will rain tomorrow. And this is just an opinion. If I'm not a weatherman, a weatherwoman, a weather person, if I'm not a meteorologist, if I'm not a weather person, this is just opinion. I don't think it'll rain tomorrow. Just an opinion, just what I think. Does that make sense? you can use it for fact, which is not opinion. So for example, it will be cold in the winter. And again, here where I live, that's very, very true. I just know that. It's cold every winter. It will be cold in the winter, so use for fact, also for opinion. I don't think it will rain tomorrow. It hasn't rained this week. The weather looks nice. I don't think it will rain tomorrow. How about this? Let's look at this next one. I'm sure you'll have a great time. I'm sure you'll have a great time. It hasn't happened yet. Maybe at the party. It hasn't happened yet, but I just feel like whoever I'm speaking to, the you in this sentence, will have a great time. It's just my feeling. It's a party, it's going to be fun, so I'm sure you'll have a great time. I'm sure, Zayed, I'm sure he will kill him. Okay, that's, again, a great example. I'm sure he will kill him. That's good. And maybe we'll take this to be more figurative than literal. Literal would be, he's really going to kill him. He's going to take his life. Figurative is just, he's going to be very angry. He's going to yell at him. He's going to be mad. I'm sure he will kill him. So let's look at one more example, and then I'll ask you to write some examples. I believe my team will win tomorrow. I believe my team will win tomorrow. Oftentimes we love our favorite sports teams. Sometimes we participate on them. Sorry, wrong preposition. We will participate in them. My team won yesterday. American football season has begun. I know a lot of you don't have the opportunity to watch or follow American football, but it's huge in America, huge in America. Okay, Steve Lynn, another great example of an opinion one. I'm sure I will listen very carefully. And then he's asking prepositional use. So Steve, on or in this lesson? I would say neither. I would say to this lesson. I'm sure I will listen very carefully to this lesson. Listen to. Yeah. And it's just your opinion. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. Maybe you'll get a phone call and you'll get distracted and you won't listen very carefully. Or you may sit there the whole time and listen very carefully. We're not sure, but we're going to make our best guess and we feel confident. Zach says, on the 17th, there is a World Hockey Tournament, and then the NHL starts. That's the big sport in Canada, of course. I don't follow hockey, but I know it's huge in Canada. If I lived in Canada, I'm sure I would follow hockey. Notice I used would there. Because it's conditional. I used a conditional, which is a little different. If I knew I was moving to Canada, I might say something like, when I move to Canada, I will follow hockey. Notice this one, when I move, is something that's going to happen rather than if I lived or if I moved in Canada. This is a conditional, so it's just hypothetical. I would if I could, but I can't. Yes. How many times? Oh yeah, the Spokane Chiefs. We do have a hockey team in Spokane. We do have a hockey team, the Spokane Chiefs. Very fun to go to the games. If you've never been to a hockey game, you should go. If you've never been to a football game, an American football game, you should go. It's a lot of fun, a lot of fun. I would if I could, but I can't. Said by many people many times. Again, good conditional. When we're not preparing, use will when we will not prepare for something. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Anwar. Could you clarify, please? And I'll try to answer that question. So, we have a lot of examples of will, and it's used in time and conditional. So, let's look at this. I'm going to take this main clause will plus subordinate clause, present simple. And remember, a subordinate clause, let's take a look at this. A subordinate clause is a clause that's going to follow the if or the when or the because. It's going to be a subordinate clause, subordinate clause. Let me change my color back to black. So teacher Nicole lived in Spokane. Teacher Nicole lives in Spokane. She still does. Oh, why are there so many tenses in languages? That's a good question, Rosa. We are, in English is obsessed with time. We want to know when something happened, when something is happening, and when something will happen. We need those tenses to show time. Other languages have different ways to show time, or time is not so important, but in English, it is important to know when something happened. So it shows time most of the time. It shows when an action happened, when somebody did something or will do something. So tenses for time and aspect. We haven't really talked about time and aspect, and we will. We will in 125, of course, talk about time and aspect, and we'll try to cover as many as possible. There are a lot of them, but a limited amount. Even though there are a lot of tenses, there are also a limited amount, and we'll talk about that. And it's possible to know them all. It's possible to know all the tenses. Even you who are learning and studying English, don't panic, because it is possible to know them all and when to use them. So a lot, but at the same time a limited amount of tenses. Okay, let's look at the future with some subordinating clauses. So I'm going to make these bigger as well. Here are the examples. He'll probably call if he gets stuck in traffic. He will probably call. Notice after if, present simple. Gets. So if we have a subordinating clause with a subordinating word like if, afterwards, present simple. The will goes on the main clause. Will goes on the main clause. When you get home, notice there's the get after the subordinating word when. When you get home, will you make dinner? This is a question, so we'll start with the modal. The modal before the subject. Will you make dinner? And then finally, as soon as, again, a subordinating word or phrase, little phrase there, making this a subordinating clause. Present simple. As soon as she arrives, we will take her to the party. Okay, now it's your turn. I'm going to ask. I'll write the question. Oh, here's a CF teaching. Here's a good example of the future. My cell phone battery will die any minute now. What do you think about CF teaching's sentence here? Is this a fact or opinion? What do you think about this sentence? My cell phone battery will die any minute now. Is that fact or opinion? When I uninstall Pokemon Go, I will play Clash of Clans. Okay, Anthony, great example. Subordinating word when, and then present simple, uninstall Pokemon Go. I will play Clash of Clans. I have not uninstalled Pokemon Go yet. I'm very tempted to, though. I have stopped playing it. I have it on my phone. I have stopped playing it. I don't know if I will play it again in the future. Zayed, I hope it's okay if I call you Zayed. Another good example. Let's see, everybody's saying fact, yes. For this one, my cell phone battery will die any minute now. Yes, that's a fact. Because you can see the little battery monitor, you can see it's down to maybe just a sliver, just a tiny, tiny beam of light. It shows that it is almost out of power. He will pass the exam unless he didn't study well. So here we have well, and then subordinating word, unless he didn't study well. And over here we have the future, will pass. Good, he will pass the exam unless he didn't study well. Present simple. What would the present simple be? Not didn't. What would the present simple be? He will pass the exam unless he... What would be the present simple of didn't? How can we make that present simple? Right now it's past simple. I'll bet you get the right answers. I'm not going to wait for them though. Sorry. How about doesn't? Because he? He will pass the exam unless he doesn't study well. So we will put the present simple on the auxiliary verb do. And here we have a negative do, and we have to change it to doesn't because he, she, it does. He will pass the exam unless he doesn't study well. So great examples. I would like the rest of you to come up with examples. Will you write for me in the chat a future sentence using will, of course, for a fact and for an opinion? That's not a question. That's an imperative. That's an order. Will you write for me, please, in the chat, a future sentence? That's hard to say. A future sentence using will for a fact and for an opinion. So two, can you write me two sentences? One a fact and one an opinion. So we had an example of a fact. Remember this sentence, that's a fact. And then for opinion, maybe an opinion. I am not a doctor, but I think he will catch cold if he stays outside too long. Okay, I'm gonna pop out as you write. I'm gonna pop out for just 2 minutes, just for a short while, and I'll come back and we'll look at some of your examples. Okay, be right back. relationships like that, it's really difficult to say 100% sure whether they'll give them another chance or not. Oh, you can't hear anything? How about now? So my microphone is shown as on. Can you hear me now? Okay, good. Sorry about that. I'm glad you told me. If you can't hear something, it might be on my end, it might be on your end, but I'll always check to see if it's on my end. Might have been a little bit of lag. Okay. Oh, and maybe Zach fixed it. Thank you, Zach. Rosa has a question. Here. If you use a subordinating word like when I move, or when I moved, if you have a subordinating when here, when. So there's our subordinating word, when I move, or is it when I moved? Well, it can be both, actually. It can be both. So if I'm looking towards the future, which we're talking about today, the future tenses, we would use when I move. I will, maybe I will, when I move, I will have my parents watch my dog. Maybe I cannot bring my dog with me when I move, so I will have my parents watch my dog. They'll take care of the dog for me. So this is future. Of course, we can use a subordinating word like when in the past, when we're talking about the past. When I moved, so I'm talking about the past. And again, another past. I had my parents watch my dog. So both are correct. It depends. Again, hard to say. It depends if you're talking about the future or you're talking about the past. So both are possible. Just depends about the time you're talking about. Okay, there were some more example. Oh, Clara, okay. Yeah, there's I'm sure you will love the new movie with Michael Fassbender. Yeah, good use of the opinion, I am sure. Good use of that opinion phrase. I'm sure you will love. And Rosa, I should have read your example sentence as well. If you fix your microphone, we will hear you. I should have looked at your example. I would have known there was a problem with the mic. Did I mention it's early here? Did I mention it's very early here? We will hear you. Good. And again, excellent use of if to make a conditional sentence and the present simple. Excellent examples, all excellent examples. Okay, and there were a lot of excellent examples, but I'm going to move on to the next. Be going to, and there's Mark. Hi, Mark. Of course, if you have access to Smrt, if you're sign up for classes and you have access to Smrt, you'll get sent a lot of exercises to do as homework. You can also watch these videos on Smrt. I think also they're posted. Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're also posted on YouTube. So if you need a refresher, if you want to listen to a lesson again, there's a lot of excellent videos featuring Mark and Sean talking about these same grammar points. Okay, be going to. Be going to. This is a little trickier. Will is kind of easy. Be going to is trickier. Why is be going to Be going to, trickier. Be going to. It's trickier because, again, we use it for fact, but a different kind of fact. I'm going to use a big word here, maybe not so big. Empirical evidence. Things we can see, hear, smell, touch, taste. You can use your senses to detect, to understand that something is going on. So we can see it. Weather is always a good way to understand be going to. So here I have a sentence. The clouds are, just present simple sentence. The clouds are very dark. Right now, I can look up in the sky and see the clouds are very dark. It is going to rain. And notice I have to make sure that it's the correct form of be. So after it, I'm going to use is. It is going to rain. I can see that with my eyes, so I know it is true. I know it is true. The clouds are very dark. It is going to rain. Here, I don't have to be a weather person. I don't have to be a meteorologist. I know that dark clouds are a sign of rain. Let's look at an example from Smrt. If you don't slow down, you're going to kill us all. When would we say this? Notice the use of the present simple with the subordinating word if and the comma. Are going to kill. When would we say this? What are we seeing to be able to say this sentence? If you don't slow down, you're going to kill us all. What do we see or hear to be able to see this, to say this? Pardon me. If you don't slow down, you're going to kill us all. I'm asking this question. What is this person seeing to be able to say this sentence? Hi, Mala. Welcome. It's okay that you're late. We're talking about the future tense. And right now, specifically, be going to. If you don't slow down, you're going to kill us all. And I'm asking, what is this person saying? Let me grab another example. And it's like the first example I came up with. We often use this to describe the weather. Describe the weather. Yes, good. Thank you, Anthony. We see somebody driving fast on the road. He is driving fast on the road. Yeah, if you see somebody driving too fast, if you don't slow down, you're going to kill us all. We can see it. We can see somebody driving fast. Good, Belle. Belle got it too. The driver is driving too fast. They're reckless driving. I'll write that out. Reckless driving. So this person that we see is a reckless driver. They're not being careful. Reckless driving. Oh no, the sky is quite dark this afternoon. I kind of came up with this one earlier too. It's definitely going to rain this evening. Of course, a dark sky, dark clouds are a sign of rain. Okay. So when do we use one and when do we use the other? Here's some very good examples I'm going to use with Smrt. I'll just use the Smrt ones because they are very, very good examples to understand the difference between will and be going to. Okay. The plant is going to die if you don't water it. Is going to die. It looks very dry. I can see the dry plant. The plant will die if you don't water it. Maybe you don't see the dry plant. Maybe the plant looks healthy now, but we know as a fact, plants need water. If you don't water it, it's going to die. So we would use will. It's just my opinion. I see the plant, looks healthy. However, I know if a person does not water it, in the future it will die. But this one is going to die. I can see with my eyes. It's very dry. It has gone from green to yellow, the sign of a dead plant. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to write me something. Again, I want to see your examples. Can you use will and be going to show opinion and what you can see? So like this. Can you write 2 sentences, one of them using be going to, meaning I can see it or I can hear it now, so I can make a prediction. I can make a very accurate guess about the future. And one that's just opinion. Okay, I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to leave it up here. And then I'm going to start reading your examples. I'll be right back. I'll remember to turn the microphone on this time when I come back. All right, be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I remembered to turn on the microphone this time. Okay, welcome Ranjit, Kiran. It's okay if you're late. Of course, you can always watch these videos again on YouTube, so it's okay to be late. I asked the people in the chat room to write sentences using will for opinion and be going to for something they can see happening now, so they can make a very good guess. Donnie D writes, he's going to be sorry for this. He is going to be sorry for this. Is going to be. So of course this is based on something you can see. I'm not sure what he is doing, but he is going to be sorry. I am quite sure of this because I can see his action or hear his words and know he's going to be sorry for it. Anthony, This is, I'm glad this is just an opinion. You used will. If you don't eat, you will die. It's a fact. Hopefully you're using it as an opinion here, like maybe you're threatening a child. If you don't eat, you will die. You must eat. Jose, this is a great sentence using be going to. The bus isn't here. I am going to arrive late. Sure, this is a very accurate guess about the future. We're waiting for that bus and it isn't here. I'm going to arrive late. Bell, of course, is a good sentence, good example sentence. You are going to fail the exam tomorrow if you spend all night chatting with your friends on Facebook. Yeah, you're not going to study if you're on Facebook all night. I think we've all been there. Donnie, great use of that phrase, I think. Of course, when we clearly want to show opinion, think. I think you're going to love it. So this is interesting. Before we used words like think to show opinion, but instead of will, you used are going to. If we feel very, very confident, we can say this. We can use a confident opinion. So this is okay to say, I think you're going to love it. It's okay to say that. It's kind of mixed between opinion and maybe something we can see or hear, but that's okay. Let's see, Steve, let's look at this. Let's look at this sentence from Steve Lynn. I'm going to Japan. I have made reservations, the needed reservations, good. So you know you're going to Japan. She will go to Japan if she has time. This is excellent. Excellent use that shows the difference between going to and will go. So I have made reservations. I know I am going to Japan. I can confirm my reservations. I can see them. I've made them. There is a schedule I can print online. I can print my tickets. I am going to Japan. She will go to Japan if she has time. She's not sure if she's going. I'm not sure if she's going, but let me put that back. If she has time, she will go. It's not a plan. It's not a schedule yet. A lot of good examples, a lot more good examples. I'm almost out of time, but before I go, one more question to address. Using if with will. Can we do it? We can use if with will. If you go to the party, you will have a good time. So if you have if, of course you can use will in the main clause. Can we use it on the subordinate clause? And that might be the question. If you will do the dishes, I will cook dinner. It is possible to use will on both sides to show willingness. The willingness to do something. If you will do the dishes, I will cook dinner. It's kind of making a bargain. If you are willing to do the dishes. All right, maybe one more question, then I really have to go. I'm running out of time here. How to use future tense and simple and compound sentence. Well, future perfect tense. Yeah, Anthony. Okay, let me think of the future perfect tense. I will have been studying. I will have, let's just, studied English for 3 years next month. Is this simple? I think this is a simple one. Will have studied. There's my future perfect. I will have studied English for 3 years next month. Next month will be the 3-year anniversary of when I started studying English. So I'm looking at duration, but the duration is not finished until the future. Can I use it in a compound sentence? Of course. And I'll just take that same one, same exact sentence. I will have studied English for 3 years next month, and I plan to celebrate by buying myself a caramel, oh boy, macchiato. I don't know how to spell macchiato. Can you help me, computer? They can. 2 C's in macchiato. M-A-C-C-H-I-A-T-O. I will have studied English for 3 years next month, and I plan to celebrate by buying myself a caramel macchiato. Not much of a celebration. So yes, you can use it in a simple sentence, Anthony. This top one is simple, and you can use it in a compound sentence. Just use that word and write more, write something else. Okay, I've got to go right now. Thank you for all of your excellent questions and examples. I know I wasn't able to comment or show all of them, but you guys are fantastic writers. So hello again to all my new friends, and it was great seeing all my old friends again here. And again, you guys are such great writers. I'm sure you speak just as well. And if you happen to sign up for a live class, let me put that in the background again. If you happen to sign up for a live class, Smrt English /SCL/live, I'm gonna put this in the chat again, that link. You can read more about our closed classes, and next week they will start as closed classes. We'll be able to speak to each other as well, and I look forward to that because I love reading your writing, and I'm sure your speaking is just as excellent, and it's always fun to practice English together. You know, I still learn English as well. One other thing. Also, if you like these videos, please like them. And I shared another link. That's a link to our channel. So you can go to that channel, watch all the videos you can, learn English at home. I like that you come to these live classes. If you can't always make these classes, there's so many excellent videos from Smrt. Fantastic. A lot of them feature Mark and Sean from Canada, and they're both excellent in their very own ways. And of course, we're pretty excellent here in America too. Nicole, Josh, Sagan, they all have classes. I have a class. So look, if you're interested in any of these, you can always ask questions in the chat. I'll be back on Wednesday. And so if you have any more questions about those live classes, you can bring them to that class and ask me, or Zach will be here, and Zach knows a lot more than I do because he's a little bit smarter. Okay, I have to go. It was great reading your examples. Great to see all of you here again, and I'll see you Wednesday morning. Okay, bye-bye.